I'm Kathleen Henderson from Roots and Boots, and today I'm going to show you how easy it is to make your own beeswax candles. Did you know that most candles, and especially scented candles, are toxic? They actually pollute the air. They add things to the air that you really don't want to be breathing into your lungs. Paraffin wax, which is what most candles are made from, is toxic. And any synthetic fragrances or synthetic ingredients that are added to that candle, when you burn it, they are released into the air. And again, that is a toxic pollutant that I personally don't want to be putting in the air of my home for my family to breathe in, inhale into our lungs. So beeswax candles are a fantastic non-toxic alternative, and they are so easy to make yourself. You only need 2 ingredients. You really only need beeswax, 1 ingredient. But I like to add coconut oil to my candles just to stretch the beeswax and to help the candles burn longer. All you need are beeswax pellets and coconut oil. Now, I have already poured the majority of my candles here, but I have one that I need to finish. You can see it has only a teeny bit of wax in it so far. And that's why I'm using such a small amount of my beeswax pellets and coconut oil. Normally, what I like to do is about 1.5 pounds of beeswax and 1 cup of coconut oil. This time I'm kind of just eyeballing the amount because, like I said, I just have a little bit of topping off to do for my final candle. I create a double boiler by adding just a little bit of water to a large pot, and then of course you heat the water. We want it to come to boiling, and then I use a glass Pyrex measuring cup with a handle so that I can hook it over the side of the pot. And earlier I forgot to catch this on video when I had my Pyrex almost filled with the beeswax pellets and the coconut oil. This is my second round to finish off that one remaining candle. You can see that there was already some wax going on in there. Beeswax pellets are much easier to melt than larger pieces of beeswax or even a larger brick. I learned that the hard way one time when I was out of beeswax pellets. I don't even remember exactly how it all went down, but somehow I wound up thinking, oh, this beeswax brick, I think I had access to it and could get it sooner, and I was like in a pinch. But let me tell you, melting down a beeswax brick takes forever. I highly recommend the little pellets or pastilles, and then you just have to wait for your beeswax pellets and coconut oil to melt. I like to use a wooden stir stick. These are just bamboo skewers that I happen to have on hand. I don't like to use one of my utensils because then I have to clean the beeswax off of it. It's not that huge of a deal, and I have to clean out my Pyrex measuring cup anyway. But since I have these on hand, I use them and I give them some time to melt down a bit, and then once it has begun to melt, I like to use my stir stick and stir it around. I don't know if it really helps it to melt faster. I feel like it does. One tip as you set up your little double boiler situation here is that you want to make sure that this spout, which is going to point down towards the water, does not allow any water to come into your measuring cup, which means you want to keep the water level low enough so that even when it's boiling, it's still well below the level of this spout, if that makes sense. So this end is going to be higher because it's hooked over the side, and this side is going to dip down towards the pot. And I have often made the mistake of putting too much water in my pot, and then I have to, you know, adjust, pour some water out. So just pay attention to that as you're getting this all set up. You do not want any water mixing with your beeswax and coconut oil. The coconut oil melts first, and then you can see that my beeswax pellets are just about fully melted here. They take a little while longer. Like I said, I like to kind of stir them around in that hot coconut oil. I feel like it helps them melt faster. And I'm working with just a small amount here, so it didn't take very long to melt. Obviously, it takes longer to melt the more beeswax you have. And now I'm simply going to pour my melted beeswax mixture into my candle mold. Ooh, that was not as much as I hoped it would be. I think I'm gonna melt a little bit more and add that as well. Well, that was more pellets than I wanted to add to this cup, but they kind of all just came out into my hot glass measuring cup. So I'm gonna go with it. Add some more coconut oil. Put this back into my double boiler. Turn my heat back on. All right, I've got some more melted wax here to top off my final candle. And I remembered one more container that I meant to use for candles. I thrifted all of these glass containers, and this was a really cool glass tumbler that I found that I wanted to use as a candle. But in the meantime, while it was waiting to turn into a candle, we were actually using it as a glass because it's the perfect size for kombucha at our house. And I am running low on this size of glasses because some of them have broken. But anyway, now it's going to become a candle, and I probably don't have enough wax to fill it all the way up, so I'm going to be back in the same boat again with a partially filled candle, but it's going to let me use up the rest of this melted wax until my next installment of beeswax pellets arrives, hopefully tomorrow. I always use some kind of combination of pencils, or I also have these little dowel rods that I broke in half at some point. Or you can try this trick for keeping your wick upright as the wax hardens. So the other trick is to pour just a small amount of wax in the bottom of your candle vessel jar. And then really quickly before it hardens, you want to get your wick centered and stabilized there. Just kind of press it into the wax. I would like you to notice that I did that left-handed because I am holding the camera with my right hand. So if I can do it with my left hand, you can do it with your right hand if you're right hand dominant. And then I think these candles are hardened enough that I can remove my pencil guide there. I'm going to add that to this wick to help it stand straight up, and then I'll pour my wax in. A quick cleaning tip is that the glass Pyrex measuring cup is a lot easier to clean when it's still warm and a little bit melted. So I'm gonna quickly try to get all this beeswax off before it hardens. And we don't use paper towels, but if you do at your house, this would be a great use for them. I'm gonna use an old rag that I will probably just throw away after I use it to clean this out. All right, I've got it cleaned out the best I can with a rag while it was still warm. Doesn't seem like a great idea to send beeswax down my kitchen drain, so I like to remove the wax and then dispose of it. And then when I'm confident I've gotten as much off as possible, I will use hot water and soap. Of course, the final step is to trim your wick. You don't want your wick sticking up quite this high, so just use a pair of sharp scissors and trim it to your desired height, like so. And that is how to make your own non-toxic beeswax candles. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more homesteading how-tos.